You know, recently I've been feeling oppressed. It's already tough as it is as a gamer, but being a horror game fan is an even tougher fight in this day and age. Maybe this is a hot take, but it kinda sucks. I'm not saying that the games that are out there are bad, or that the genre is dying, but it's just that as you indulge in this genre, your overall enjoyment of future horror games or multiple playthroughs is diminished. Horror games are like being in a relationship. The first time you experience one, your heart is doing flips over your anxieties and thinking what may come into the future. But when the two of you are going steady, your heart will still flutter, but you will never be able to experience that thrill that you had in the beginning. You kinda get a little numb to it. Something that will always make my heart flutter is if you could leave a like on the video if you find yourself enjoying the animations, and maybe subscribing for more of my puppets. Now, why might you become numb to a horror game? Well, it's almost like seeing a movie given how very story-driven these horror games can be. Unfortunately, you can only experience the story once. If the gameplay doesn't have that much depth, then it's the story or the twist at the end that will make the game worthwhile. Take Lily's Lel or Doki Doki Literature Club for example. They're relatively short games that aren't gonna have that many gameplay mechanics or features, but it's the build-up and the sudden reveals that make playing through them worthwhile. Which is good since you just want to be creeped out, and the gameplay doesn't need to be mechanically complex for you to enjoy them. You don't need to be holding a Rubik's Cube when you're just trying to read Frankenstein. Alas, after you find out about the twist at the end, and you experience all the scares, a small horror game sometimes lacks the replayability that other horror games might have. The game still has the story and the twist, but you already know too much to relive the game once again. Somewhat related, but Space Funeral and Off also have their own sudden moments of making you feel uneasy in your stomach, but you'll be just fine after knowing that it's just the atmosphere, and you won't be seeing any jump scares. I know I'll be comparing games made by single developers to AAA studios, but this is more so the journey of games that I had as a horror game enjoyer. Amnesia the Bunker and Resident Evil 2 have more depth to their gameplay with more mechanics, a whole new dimension to look and walk around in, and millions of dollars for their budgets. These games are heavily crafted, and have many means of setting the mood and shattering any moments of hope. However, horror games this beefy in budget with an emphasis on replayability also falls into this rut of any other horror game. My prior knowledge and faith in God eventually helps me with becoming bigger and stronger than the boogeyman. When you become a master of the game, you are no longer the victim, or rather, you are now the danger. This might be good for anyone that is an epic gamer, but I'm hungry for fear. I'm starving for terror. I want to feel defenseless and vulnerable. I no longer see Mr. X as my worst nightmare. I just see him as a roadblock for my second playthrough. The Water Wraith. I'm probably already good enough at the game that I can avoid him spawning by the 5th minute of being in the cave, but I'm not gonna make myself be bad at a game just to seek out a thrill. The giant red guy in Dead Space? I might break out into a cold sweat if I'm low on health and I really don't want to die, but I'm a big boy. I doubt I'll die to him on a second run. This is good if I want to score the best ranks for my pleasure, but it's bad if I want to feel scared.
Oh jeez, there are zombies up in here? I gotta get Resident Evil to God damn it. I gotta get Resident Evil 2 a safe room.
These games may offer a higher difficulty to challenge yourself and to reapply a level of stress, but the scenes and events are mostly unchanged. Unless you are a speedrunner or you're an elite gamer that loves achievements, then you might feel a little discouraged from doing a new playthrough of the game. This big ass game was a fun challenge, and I can't wait to see the look of my favorite streamer's face when they go through the same challenge that I did.
What's wrong with this? Oh my god. Oh my god, dude. That was the worst fucking scare I think I've had in like a year.
But man, I can't force myself to do a second playthrough of the Resident Evil 4 remake. Or just any girthy horror game. I need some zinc and maybe half a year if I want to play it again. It's weird because some of these longer games either have a new game plus mode or a ranking system. Like they expect me to make a life out of each new game that comes out. But one live service game is already a commitment. Let me know if this is just me or it's just that games expect more and more time out of us. If I was a speedrunner and I really love the game so much that I just want to keep on replaying it over and over again, then sure, I'll have a go at it. But more often than not, I'm not going to go on my way to play the game, use shortcuts, and skip all the side content just to get to an ending faster for a good ranking. I want to feel scared. Not like a pro. I'm in a bit of a pickle. If I do decide to play more of a game, then that basically becomes like practice and I slowly get better at surviving, which can then be transferred to other horror games. This transformation isn't exactly seen in other game genres where getting better or playing more of it can cause an upset in how you go about the games in the same genre. Racing games? Your skills improve and you're able to score better times. Nobody's exactly looking to score last place. First-person shooter games? You get better at beating the enemy with more playtime. Or at least, you should be getting better. You noob. Farming games? Even if you understand the mechanics, you don't have to show off your skills to achieve anything. The game usually permits you to take things nice and slow and relax. RPGs? Aside from the combat, you can't really master an RPG since you're usually exploring, immersing yourself in the world, and learning lore. This is similar to horror games where you would also explore and immerse yourself in the world, but the risks are low and you can usually take your time in most RPGs. The more of the horror genre you engage in, the more you will begin to pick up on tropes and mechanics. Are you about to finish an objective? Get ready because something went wrong! Did the game lag out for a split second as you were just walking? That's because the game loaded in the giant fetus baby model. Are you about to backtrack through an area that you're now familiar with? Surprise! Crow Mauler! Sorry for spoiling those games for you. Thank you for your sacrifice. I know that every form of genre and media have their tropes, like the hero was always winning through the power of friendship, the villain usually having some kind of sad backstory instead of just being a regular dickhead, or the black guy always dying first. But with horror, being able to predict how something may turn out will reduce your feeling of dread. Half of the enjoyment is from the big scare, the climax. Hell is no longer a nightmare to you if you already danced with the devil multiple times. You are no longer playing a horror game. You are now playing an action game.
Kept you waiting, huh? Time to end these evil residents forever.
Even if the devil throws in a new dance move on you, you will eventually begin to expect the unexpected. Something that helps with keeping a horror game fresh is staying away from spoilers. Unfortunately, if something is really the highlight of a game or like a chapter, then you might accidentally find out about it online. Obviously, you will already be on guard, but you will expect this one unique thing now. You have to go on a digital detox to keep your mind pure, or a thumbnail will tarnish it. Are you serious? Now I know there's gonna be a giant red thing somewhere in a house level. Everyone and their mother has already talked about the water wraith level in Pikmin 2, so now that surprise is mostly shattered if anyone knows a tiny bit of the game. I know every new game has their spoilers, but those often have a consistent amount of gameplay to keep them up. Horror games, the climax is sacred. Fortunately, there's a solution to keeping the horror genre fresh. I'll just buy a new horror game. There are always new horror games coming out with each month. Problem is, I'm not made of money. To feel excitement from the horror genre and keep the scares fresh, then you pretty much need to go out there and experience new games. Which is fine, but some of these games are slow burns. So if a game ends up sucking, then you better hope it sucks within the first 2 hours, or you won't get your money back on Steam. Even if a game is good or decent, can the price tag justify something so short? It better have me spraying my britches if I'm going to be paying $70 for a damn game. I'm not saying that I want these games to be made artificially long to justify the price tag, but there's a thin line. I don't want the game to feel so short that I paid $70 or $60 for a single jump scare, but I don't want it so long that a second playthrough of the game is a huge commitment. Live service horror games or any horror that you can play with friends don't appeal to me as a horror. You no longer feel bad about executing this guy anymore when you just want to complete your battle pass. Hide and seek Fortnite? No thanks. In order to do well, you need to have a good understanding of the game and its mechanics, which will dilute your fear of the unknown. Repo? Phasmophobia? I'm not looking to play my horror games with friends because I'm looking to actually get scared. I might flinch and say damn it, but you'll never see me or my mouth ready to give a sloppy. And no, it's not because I don't have friends. I own a couple. You better not be thinking that because it's me and this puppet mascot. Speaking of which, mascot horror would be cool if I was back in middle school. I know I haven't touched a decent chunk of the classics, but my points still stand for when I decide to play the old and new horror games. I know about Pyramid Head and Silent Hill 2, and I heard some stuff about Robbie the Rabbit. I've conquered the Regenerators in RE4, Chris Walker in Outlast, and Chauncey in Luigi's Mansion. Who knows if I'll get scared stiff when I play Silent Hill 2. I'm not saying that these games are flawed for not making me scream and not wanting to play it ever again. It's just that the cold touch of a horror game is no longer able to send a tantalizing chill down my spine. I'm too familiar to the feeling. I envy people that are not desensitized to that sensation. I need to consume more and more peppers to relive the thrill of my first ever minty Colgate toothpaste. Unfortunately, I'm short on time and money. I want to save up for college. I've been meaning to play Crow Country, so that's at least on my agenda since I've been missing out on the retro horror era. And I know Soma is a must play. I just need the time. Other than those games, let me know what other horror games I must play. Now that I think about it, indie horror games might be my saving grace of putting a few scares into me. They're relatively cheap, but I doubt they will instill a level of fear into me like the Puppet Maker section in Resident Evil 8. But who knows, I could be wrong. Cry of Fear did a good job with the Saw Runner, and that game is free! It's just that with most other genres, once you have a favorite game, your wallet is set for a decade. This might just be the price that we need to pay in order to feel intimate and emotionally invested into this genre of games. Now I know what it's like to have a substance addiction. I did find a free game over on 4chan called Sad Satan, so I'll be playing some of that just in time for Halloween. Thank you to all the patrons for supporting the show. Without them, this one-man show would be a lot harder. Head on over to the Patreon if you want me to make you a puppet Sona. That's basically a puppet of whatever you might have in mind for a character. Made by yours truly.